the best show for Chicago.
That's right. We got a little breaking news that we got to get into on today's episode, man. Breeze Nation, what is good? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always, man. We got injury updates on Kyler Gordon, Odunze, and Tyreek Stevenson all ahead of this game. Got the good, you got the bad. And you got, I'm not going to say the ugly, but at least you got a question mark here that we got to talk about. All that and more in today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Y'all know normally we don't do a weekend stream, but I couldn't let this news get up out of here, and we don't drop anything on it. Big shout out to Markel Gregory in this mug with the bird down. Drop a bird down in the comments if you have not done so. Who else we got up in here? Baki in the building. We got Abeja in the building. Abeja in the building with the bear down. Shout out to you guys for tuning in and showing love, y'all. Listen, it's going to be a tough one to start things off here, as the news now coming down that Kyler Gordon will be on injured reserve to finish the season. I believe this was first reported by Ian Rappaport. Listen, this is another tough blow to this team during the year. You know what I mean? This is one where you were hoping to get Kyler back. We've talked about it, right? I think that this is just kind of what you end up dealing with at times when you get asked to do some different things this season. I think the preparation is there. What Ian had to say on this: the Bears are placing cornerback Kyler Gordon, groin on injured reserve, knocking him out 4 games with the hopes he returns for the playoffs. Sources say this is his second IR stint for Chicago. Chicago signed CJ Gardner-Johnson to fill the void, and he's been a revelation in that slot. And that's the truth about it, right? The hope is that he can return during the playoffs if you can get him back. But at this point, right, you've sent him on 2 IR stints now. He got banged up before he really got a chance to play the game. So do you view that as a ton of time off, or do you view it as, hey, buddy, maybe it's time for you to sit down this season? Either way, I'd rather see a team with Kyler Gordon in the game than not, because we know how dangerous he can be when him and Jaquan are next to each other. We've seen some really good things from them two together. Really was hoping to see more of what we saw in that first game that he actually was able to come back and play a little bit in, right? Where you saw him, CJ, Jalen Johnson, and Jaquan all on the field at the same time. Hopefully, we can get back to that point at some point, but right now, I think this is the right move for the Bears to try and let him get fully healthy. Let him figure it out. A groin is something you don't want to play with. You just saw talking about guys that are dealing with it. What can happen if you push yourself too far on what you had with Jalen Johnson, where you end up losing him for the season? Now, does him sitting out for some time on that make it a little bit better? I don't know if that's the case. I'm not saying that, but it does feel like, maybe rushing him back wasn't the right move there when you see the production from it. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. We have a full video on the channel where I break down the ins and outs of Kyler Gordon and what he's meant to this team. And me and Jordan JC kind of talk about why, I don't view it as he's an injury-prone player just yet. Make sure that you check out that content on the channel as well, man. That is on the home tab of the page. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, man, we post Bears, Bulls, all the content all the time, Monday through Friday. Some good news for the Chicago Bears here. Unfortunately, that is the bad news that we had to get to. The good news here for the Chicago Bears moving forward is that there is an opportunity for you to get one of your big name DBs back here in Tyreek Stevenson. But now the question is on top of that, right? When you talk about the good, the bad, and the questionable, I think this is good news, but here's why this is questionable to me. Do you want to see Tyreek out there ahead of Sean Wright in this situation? Do you feel like Tyreek is still that number 2? We know what we've seen between him and Jalen. At most, for me, I do like the fact that it seems like Jalen is still trying to find his footing, trying to figure his way out there. And he's trying to catch back up with real NFL speed. Hey, it takes some time for you to get back into full shape and to feel like yourself 100%. There's nothing that replicates playing NFL football like playing NFL football. So hopefully, he's able to get back to 100%. This week, you've got some guys who, with as much man as you're going to play, they can beat man coverage. So you're going to have to be on your P's and Q's. So I look at this as an opportunity to say, if Tyreek is healthy and ready to go, maybe you get an opportunity to say that Jalen, hey, you're not going to be out here for these plays or XYZ. We're going to have Tyreek and Deshaun, a combination that has worked at points this season, and we have some comfortability with Dennis Allen. On the flip side of that, we don't have to see Tyreek out there 24/7 where he's getting burnt on some of those deep routes or double moves, and that Jalen Johnson's pretty good at sitting down and stopping guys from being able to get the pass in those situations. So I think the fact that you're getting like both of those guys back out there, I think it's more of a conversation of supplementing them two together than it is replacing Deshaun Wright with Tyreek Stevenson. The big thing out of this is you're getting help back in that secondary with some coverage with a guy who understands the system like the back of his hand, the way that Tyreek does this year. I think one of the big plays that we don't talk about enough from that Packer game is the Bo Melton play. The Bo Melton play is massive. Unfortunately, that's Jalen missing. Is that because Jalen didn't know what his coverage was there? Maybe, or maybe it's just a bad play where it was a missed assignment. But either way, I'd rather have a guy who you're getting back in here, who if I need to swap Jalen out for somebody, it's not a guy like Nick McLeod. It's somebody who we feel like has a ton of talent, who we feel like can make plays, and who just has had kind of an up and down season here, being the number one. Now coming back, maybe you look at him as more of a number two. And so let me know how you guys feel. Would you like to see Tyreek in there over Deshaun, or even maybe a little bit over Jalen, allowing Jalen that time to get himself back comfortable? Or is Tyreek somebody that you bring off of the bench at this point? I mean, there's a conversation to be had there, right? You've got the takeaway leader in football. You're not going to bench him. You've got Jalen. And by the way, here's the big thing for me that you have to have a conversation on with all of this. This is a new coaching staff. Jalen Johnson's phenomenal. Y'all know how I feel about him. Y'all know I think that he is a top 3 DB in the NFL. Jalen Johnson is phenomenal. But he hasn't proven anything to Dennis Allen this season. Deshaun Wright has. So is there a conversation where you feel a heck of a lot more comfortable throwing a guy like Deshaun Wright and Tyreek Stevenson, guys who have had an opportunity to prove to Dennis Allen what they can do this season out on the field? I think there's a conversation for that. Now, the one thing that I do love about this in totality is one of the things that we saw as a struggle, even though he was able to make plays last year and stuff like that, or last week and stuff like that, CJ Gardner-Johnson in coverage was not a favorable matchup at any point. There was a lot of attacking CJ when he was getting out in coverage and things like that, because he had to take on that role that Kyler Gordon would have been filling in that sense. Having 3 guys on the field like that could be very, very interesting for the team. And so maybe you find a way to play all 3 of them at the same time. Either way, it's good to get healthy bodies back on the field. And I'll say this, all 3 of these guys are talented. You feel if the conversation is, hey, which talented guy are you going to play? You're in a good spot. You know what I mean? Like I'm not sitting here losing my mind over that one way or the other. Let me know, like I said, how you guys feel in the comments below. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Finally, and I think this is the biggest one. We got this update. I think this is Rappaport as well. Maybe this is Shefty, but let me check Twitter. I try to credit people who actually put in the real reporting work out here. And then where did I see this first from? I know now it's like whoever the biggest one is going to be the one who did it. I think it was Rappaport who dropped this news first. But Rome Odunze, either way, Rome Odunze is trending towards playing tomorrow. That's very good. That's very good to hear. Because listen, I know everything that everybody was looking at this week with DJ Moore and getting DJ Moore involved and things like that. Jeremy Fowler, actually, okay, that's who I got this from the first. Jeremy Fowler was the first one to promote this, so big shout out to Jeremy Fowler for that. The big thing here, everybody was looking at DJ Moore last week and you know, why is he running these routes? Why is he being the deep threat guy? Why are we not using him underneath more? And I get it, right? Like I tried to break down, okay, this is what the scheme is showing you. This is what you saw. There's a lot of love of the game routes. He's also running some things underneath where there's pressure in his face. I think that this week with a guy like Micah Parsons on the field, there's still going to be pressure in Caleb Williams' face. You want to have as many weapons as possible, and it's good to get Rome back out on the field, hopefully feeling a little bit healthier. I feel like last week sitting him down was kind of like, you've been dealing with this injury for a little while now. How about we let you rest this week, get you back a little bit more healthy. You come back in, you start to play like the player that you have been, or that you were earlier on in the season. I hope that that's kind of the flip of the switch that we get here. Hit that like button if you're looking forward to seeing Rome Odunze back on the field, because to me, when you talk about a deep ball threat, this is something where you have Rome back on the field, the opportunities to actually attack this team deep forces you to kind of take that step if you're a linebacker and you have to say, I can't bring as much pressure possibly if you're Jim Schwartz as I would like to. Maybe we do have to just run 4. Now, rushing 4 for them is not a problem. You've got Myles Garrett and Mason Graham as 2 of the 4 on this defensive line. I think that that's going to be helpful, but if you can get this defense kind of stretched out, I think that opens some things up for you underneath, where I think DJ Moore will have a pretty big game for this Chicago Bears team this week. In fact, in our underdog play this week, I said up the receptions for DJ Moore this week to above 4.5, because I think this is going to be a massive week for him to get himself involved with stuff in the slot, stuff shorter passes that you can utilize for him, stuff like that, where I think that that's where his game is going to be a lot more predicated now. He's not going to be that guy who's going to be the deep ball threat. I told you, they see him more to me as a Deebo Samuel type of player. And so in my opinion, I think having Rome back, being able to stretch the field. Now you got to bring the football in. Hopefully this is a week where the Bears are able to actually bring the football in, catch some of those passes. We talked about the adjusted passing completion percentage that Caleb Williams has when his receivers aren't dropping the football. It really shows that everybody's kind of understanding the system. We just need to bring that ball in and finish things out. Not a takeaway from Caleb Williams. It's not to exonerate him for some of the bad passes that we have seen from him this season. But listen, Rome, you're supposed to be the number one. We want to see you be the number one. And hopefully he's able to do that this week versus a Browns defense that, if you're able to go out there and perform versus this defense, I know people are going to look at it and say, well, the Titans were just putting up points on them. Guys, listen, like, this is the second best defense in football by a lot. The defensive pressure that they can bring up front, adding Carson Schlesinger into that mix, like, this defense is always going to be a problem. The goal is to tire them out. If you accomplish a lot versus this Browns defense, I think you feel really good going back into that Packers matchup. So hopefully this is something that the Chicago Bears can get done here. Glad to see Rome Odunze back on the field. Hopefully he can stretch this field and be a safety blanket for Caleb moving forward. And if he can, listen, I think Caleb becomes a very, very dangerous quarterback over these last 4 weeks of the season. And hopefully this offense figures it out. Ben Johnson said we're going to be playing our best football in December. That's some pretty good football you played in the second half. Let's see if that's more of who you are than the first half that we saw. But hey, man, just wanted to give you guys these few updates here. Hit that like button if you have not done so. Subscribe to the page. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer. Back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bed down. One love. Peace.
Red Nation, are we here? The best show for Chicago sports.